Hey, everybody. It's Aslan. It's Michael Langston. You know, it's about to go down. Warchant recruiting recap of a very busy weekend of official visits for Florida State, Mike Norvell and company. We appreciate you being here. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminoles sports source. All this that we're talking about is an easy to read format over on the PRB that you would have known about hours ago if you're a member of Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Can't join that? I guess I get it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. What else can they do, Michael, to show some support?
You can hit the like button. It's free. You don't cost you anything. Nothing. Free. Hit it. Helps us promote all these great videos. There's a lot going on. You got fall practice coming up. You want to hit the like button as much as you can, and certainly helps us promote this big weekend for FSU.
Let's not talk about fall practice yet, Michael. Let's breathe a little bit. Let's go to something a little bit more.
Okay.
All right, Michael Langston, you were posted up at the Moore Center all weekend long because it was a really busy weekend of official visits. Let's start off with Jonathan Daniels, probably maybe the most highly coveted, a consensus 4-star, but our network on three has him as a 5-star. So all the stars
Right.
that you'll see at the bottom of your screen, we're going by consensus because I guess that's what everybody's supposed to do.
Okay.
What do you think Jonathan Daniels took away from his visit at Florida State? How do you check the temperature and feel he's trending right about now after a good weekend in Tallahassee?
I think the temperature's pretty hot for FSU, and I think they did a phenomenal job. Just everything they presented to him, they've stayed consistent of what they are. I've said that's important for FSU because you don't want to, just because things are, other schools are recruiting different ways, you don't want to change who you are and the way you do things. And I think they've stayed really consistent, done a great job as far as just making it personal with relationships, but also showing him the evaluations of what they do with development and offensive linemen. And I think Jonathan's always liked Alex Atkins as one of his favorite coaches. And I think tonight this weekend they just knocked it out of the park. I really like where FSU sits. I even put a RPM pick for FSU this morning based on the intel I was gathering throughout the weekend. I think he's more of an interior guy. I know some people would mention offensive tackle, but I think he's more of a interior guy that I think he could also play right tackle if you need him to. You put in the crosshairs there, but I think with his size, I think he's 6'4". I saw it legit again today, 6'4". It just has that guard size, and his game kind of has the feel of a guard, but would be a tremendous pickup for FSU, and I think FSU is eventually going to get good news when he, I think, announces a decision. I think it's going to be around Independence Day and July 4th. I think it's going to be around that, either the day before or around that date. So I think they should get some good news there.
Is there anything going on between now and then? Is he going to go check out any other schools? I know a lot of people are obviously, impatient. They want him to go ahead and
Yeah.
flip now, but sounds like things are all right. But maybe next 10 days or so, you're thinking?
It's a dead period, so they'll be in the dead period in July. So I think he's done. I don't think there's any other visits. I'm I've talked briefly some with Jonathan after the visit. I could tell how enthusiastic and excited he was off this visit. But we're going to talk more. I'll have a one-on-one, probably more, as far as an article and a feature on just the visit and his thoughts. But everything I'd heard is they blew it out of the water, and certainly they look like they're in prime position to get him.
Florida State, their footprint is nationwide. They got guys on the roster from Arkansas. They got them from all parts of the country. They've got a guy on campus out of Maryland. The DMV's always been kind to Florida State, or at least in the past, it seems like it has. Elijah Moore, a 3-star wideout on campus at Florida State. How good of a visit do you think he had?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that surprised me, Aslan. And this is not one that I anticipated that I felt like there would be this big of a shift for FSU, but it was. Based on every day I checked on this, it got stronger and stronger. And then on Sunday morning, I started really hearing that it was really strong. And then, but even then, I was kind of like, I don't know. This Ohio State's been the team I've heard the most, and then Elijah came out there, interviewed with us, said FSU's the number one school. I'm like, I'm still skeptical on that. So I did some checking, and it's pretty verified with some people that would know, and they felt really good about it. So I think that's another one that they're trending in a good direction there. He's the guy that I think will also announce on July 4th. It's going to be a busy Independence Day for FSU, but I think he's a guy they love, they covet, and they've been on him for a while. He's not a guy I've talked all the time about, but he visited in the spring. They've had a long-standing relationship there, and I think just another one of those guys where they just killed it and knocked it out of the park and showed him something that I think a lot of schools haven't shown him from a personal connection to a school. I think it's a personal connection to Florida State that was just different than any other place that he's been, and certainly a big body guy. You saw that just when you see him in person. He's got the big body you look for, and it will be interesting to see what they do the rest of the class because they already have several commits already in there. Now a lot of those guys are small guys, so be interesting what happens with James Madison, who we've talked a lot about, that also a fish visit this weekend. So but I definitely feel good about where they're at with Elijah Moore, and I feel that's another one that I think they're probably going to get good news on.
Elijah Moore listed at 6'4", 190 out of Good Counsel High School in Olney, Maryland. How do these things happen, Michael? I mean, this, just in this day and age, we seem to know every single player that's on the
Yeah,
board, how they're trending, and like a kid shows up on an official visit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Ohio State, team that's been killing it for 10 straight years. I don't care anymore. I'm all about Florida State. How does that kind of come about?
it's just you just keep working on the relationship. You show them, and I've said this in my previews for people that watch it. I say this all the time. FSU has to show something unique that's different from other schools, and yeah, other schools can talk about their culture, but it's a little different at FSU when you really talk to guys and dive into it. And I think with that, this is kind of the situation of that where this kid he visited early in the spring, but it wasn't really. It was just kind of a stop by and see and check, and then there was some connections that were building. But I think the official visit, they just they just crushed it, and I think Elijah also sees what this offense is doing. So I think that's kind of how it got shifted. But I think the big shift was the connection personally to the school that's different because yeah, everyone's going to be good, but who's going to be there for you when things aren't the chips aren't good, or there's bad times. I mean, you have to have a culture that fits your personality, and I think FSU just nailed it to a T with Elijah during the weekend. That they just nailed things that connected personally with his personality that matched FSU. So I think that was really the big deal how it shifted.
Let's stay with offense. Let's move closer to home.
Okay.
Got to build a little bit of a fence around the Big Bend area here in Florida State and Tallahassee and Florida, the Panhandle. Is it Makai Danzy? Mr. Danzy, I'm just going to call him. 4-star athlete, Michael. Official visit for him. Obviously, he knows this program inside and out, being just right down the road. But how vital of a weekend visit do you think this was for him and Florida State's chances? And where do things stand right now?
Yeah, I think he's told me Micah. That's the way he says it. It doesn't look that way, but I think that's what he has told me before. Yeah, local kid, Florida High University, kind of the filler school for FSU in the past. They've gotten guys like Brandon Jenkins from there. So certainly some talented guys that they've gotten from that program, and then it's been FSU for a while. So this is one that I think the Jonathan Daniels one didn't surprise you too much, and this one's even more didn't surprise you because he's local. They've been the leader for so long, and this is another one where they just nailed it. Really good academic presentation for what I hear, and just his fit into the program. And I told people before this weekend I felt like FSU is going to really push to get his secure his commitment. I think that's coming up. I think you'll see something in July. I don't have a date, I think, for that one, but I do think it's going to be coming up in the summer. Speedy guy, really fast, great track guy, which they did a great presentation as well for the track. Shout out to Ricky Argo, the sprint coach, and in the FSU coaching staff over there. He did a tremendous job of just really making a strong impression. But this is one I think it's been trending FSU for a while, but then it got even stronger. I think after this weekend, and I think he knows like, hey, I'm the guy they want. I'm the guy they've focused the most on. If you follow everything we've done with all these hot boards and tend to watch, Mike has always been on there, very high up there. He's been the most realistic running back target we've said to go along with Cam Davis. And then another cool moment I thought today was, on Saturday, Cam Davis came over and helped recruit him. So I think that signifies what the culture they're doing at FSU and building, that great players want to have other great players around them. When you have a guy that plays the same position as you and he's going over there and he's recruiting you hard, I think it's a big deal. So yeah, it's another one I think FSU should expect good news from down the line this summer.
Listed as an athlete, a lot of the video that we're seeing here on his huddle film, Michael, is him playing running back. What do you think his future is at the next level here?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a running back, but a running back with a lot of different traits, kind of like what Lawrence Toafili does for FSU. Can run between the tackles, very good. But I think what people can see is just his receiving skills are very dynamic, and then when he gets an open field, he is electric as he get one of the fastest running backs out there you will find, I think, in the South. So this is a guy that they didn't take for chances. Grew up an FSU fan, but they didn't. They weren't like, okay, you're an FSU fan, we'll go after you when we feel like it. They, from the very start, FSU made him a really big priority. Not going to say he's the top guy always on the board, but he was one of the top guys from the start, and they didn't let up. And certainly a guy that they wanted in this class because he's different from Cam. And I've talked about versatility in their rooms. You look versatility with their tight ends, versatility with your offensive line, and then versatility. I think at the running back group, I think they wanted to have somebody that was different in Cam, and I think Danzy fits everything you're looking for.
Let's talk about one other guy on the offensive side of the ball. We do these live chats weekly, bi-weekly, every so often, Wednesdays, usually, sometimes Thursdays. You should all check them out. You probably know already.
Yeah.
But, people are talking about Kylan Fox, a tight end out of Grayson. He had been on social media tweeting about UCF dropping some hints, and we don't try to put too much stock into social media sometimes, but sometimes if there's some smoke and fire and it's all legit here. He's, again, 4-star tight end out of Grayson, was going to kind of pair with Landon Thomas, give this program a really incredible 1-2 punch in terms of recruiting out of the high school level.
Right.
He was on campus for an official visit. Were you able to catch up with him? Is there any different feel for whether these sort of UCF things are hints, or is it just, smoke signals?
At first, I was like, it's just kind of smoke signals, maybe not too much. But then, the more you dove in it to the weekend, first Friday was really good for the official visit. Then Saturday, I started hearing more about, hey, you know what, this might not happen because I think the big hang up here is his family wants him to be a one. And we already know FSU has a number one, and that's Landon Thomas. That's the guy. Like, that's their number one target. So I think that plays into this where I feel like he wants to go somewhere where he's going to be that number one. And I think UCF can be that place. I think the visit was fantastic. I don't think they did anything wrong, but that's just the gut feeling I have on people I talk to and the intel I get, that's kind of shifted where I think FSU wanted to see if they could pull it off where, to get this two tandem together with Landon. But to go back, you're dealing with personalities, and guys want to be number one. I don't care what position you're at. People want to be the guy. And I think with FSU, he was going to be another guy that's really talented, but Landon was going to be the guy. I think at a place like UCF or even Georgia Tech, he was going to be the main focus. So I don't think that one's going to work out for FSU. I like UCF to probably win out, but I was told like just probably like an hour ago, it's not over. FSU's still going to push it. So this isn't the case where they just cooled and it's like, oh well, we got Landon. Like, they're still trying, but I think they're trying to work the angle of, hey, focus on the offense of what the offense is, not who's number one, who's number two. Focus on what we're going to do and utilizing you. So FSU's still working that angle. I don't think it's a done deal. I don't think he's told anybody like he's for sure coming, but I would lean towards UCF at this moment, even after the FSU official visit.
Kylan Fox, 6'4.5", tight end out of there, again, out of Grayson High School there in Georgia. All right, let's pivot over to the defensive side of things. Large human being, fast, athletic, large human being. We like those guys. 4-star edge, D.D. Holmes on campus, Michael. How big of a target, priority is he for Adam Fuller and this defensive staff, do you feel?
Major priority, especially with them losing out on Dylan Stevenson to Stanford. You got to get somebody. They don't have a defensive end in this class, and this kid looks like $1 million. If you, I saw him a couple times, several times this weekend. Looks phenomenal. You love the body frame of what he can put on, and I just love everything. Just his personality, the way he connects, and just seems like a guy that would fit FSU very well to go along with his incredible skill set. I think he's a really good edge guy that can come out to the pass at the quarterback and certainly create a lot of havoc. Very long, got long arms, even though his frame is slender to a certain degree. But I like a lot of what this guy does, and I think they did a really good job, over the weekend. And I would say another key too with him is Elijah Moore. We mentioned him earlier. Both of them are from Maryland, and kudos to our Matt Lassier. Matt went up there at 5 a.m. to
Oh,
get Didi because Didi
oh,
had to take a flight at like 6 or 7 a.m. Matt got up there, got the story. It was on Warchant first thing in the morning. Man, Matt's a warrior. He's probably sleeping right now, but
I hope. I
he
hope.
he was he was a warrior. He got him, and he mentioned that to Matt, like how that would be pretty significant if there was another Maryland guy there in his recruitment to have somebody and you're comfortable with. I don't know if they're friends. I take it they are, but I thought that was an interesting kind of quote and thoughts that Matt got from DDO the weekend, and I think they crushed it on the visit. I think they did a really good job. I think South Carolina, FSU were the two teams I've heard the most frequently. It's a little bit with Rutgers, but mostly FSU and South Carolina. And I think FSU, for me, I think is trending off that visit. Now we have to see what wears off, what doesn't, when he weighs out the pros and cons. But I think the momentum in buzz is with FSU coming off that visit.
D.D. Holmes, 6'6", 240 pounds, out of Gonzaga Prep. Home of Caleb Williams, the reigning
There you
Heisman
go.
Trophy winner out there in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. All right, there was even more dudes, if you can believe it, everybody, on campus this weekend. Matt and
Yeah,
Michael got everything over on the warchant.com premium recruiting board. For real, like, I know I'm doing the whole sales pitch thing, but for real, like, if you want to know about all these guys and what's going on, it's all over there on the PRB, and it's there as soon as these guys get it done because they're pros. That's what they do. On the way out, though, Michael, this quarterback they've got,
yeah.
this Luke Romanhawk kid, man,
Phew.
relentless. He's a more of a salesman than I am. Apparently, coming, he's driving. I just have to walk across the hallway and come here and film this stuff. He's driving down from Savannah and uh, trying to get everybody on board, man. How impressed you continue to be with Luke and just how sold out he is for this program right now.
He's unreal. I thanked Luke again in person today for the diary. If people haven't watched it, go back and watch that diary. I mean, it was phenomenal from the Elite 11. He was great. I just continuously be impressed because here's the thing: people don't know. Recruiting for other recruits is not something everyone can do. Not everyone has that skill to connect with people because sometimes you push too hard, sometimes you don't push enough, sometimes you don't have a outgoing personality that connects with people. It's like every time Luke is on campus, I get texts from families and recruits that have never met him. They're like, "Man, this guy's charismatic. I like this guy. I connect with him. He doesn't like push to, make you feel uncomfortable. He pushes enough where he's building relationships." And Luke kind of touched on that with our story we did on him on the front page, written by Ira today. I think he touched on that. Just his presentation, his pitches of what he does, but the guy is an amazing recruiter. It's too bad they can only have him for 1 year to recruit, but he's going to be an amazing salesman for FSU once he's in that program. He's hosting official visitors because there's certain guys that have a quality that can connect with players without being cocky or coming arrogant. And I think with Luke, he just the way he opens up, the way he connects with you from a personal standpoint. Even if you go to FSU, you don't go to FSU. There's a relationship that's there forever, and I think he does that better than anybody. As far as when you watch the way he recruits, the way he sells stuff, the way he wants to build a bond whether you go there or not, and it really resonates with a lot of these recruits, even guys that I remember that didn't end up at FSU. They're like, man, Luke Cromwell is the guy that I love being around, and if I did go there FSU, he would be one of the big reasons why, because that's a guy you want to be around. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying is he's a guy you always want to be around, and he did an incredible job throughout the weekend. I don't know how he did it with juggling all these guys with 14 official visitors and even a few unofficial visitors. So I think Luke's been a tremendous asset to FSU, and Luke even said his mom's out there recruiting. So I guess maybe he gets it from his mom.
There we go. As Michael said, like over a dozen guys
Yeah.
officially visiting this past weekend. Updates on these guys all over on Warchant.com's premium recruiting board. And then here in maybe 2 weeks, we'll start seeing the fruits of this labor pay off with some commitments because
Yeah.
folks be getting impatient out there. What's going to be going on over on the premium recruiting board here in the next few days, Michael?
Yeah, so we got more features. Like I said, I'm going to get up with Jonathan Daniels. Hope to have a one-on-one. I will have a one guy we haven't talked about, four-star DB, Jalavis Solomon. I got up with him. I'm going to have a feature on him. That's probably going to pop in the morning. And then if you haven't seen it already, I just posted probably about an hour ago a recruiting wrap that covers all 14 official visitors. I give a note to every single one of them. I go in detail about all of them. So we'll have a lot more features. We got a lot more thing. I think Matt's got a really good story that's coming up on the receivers that visit over the weekend. That includes, the commits like Tawaski Abrams, obviously Camden Fryer and several others, James Madison and even Elijah Moore thrown in there. So got a lot more coming up, guys. It's just getting started. Then later next week, I'm going to do a 10 to watch while you guys are popping the fireworks. I'm going to work on that a little bit and see where things stand as far as that 10 to watch with these decisions coming up in July.